Well, the wall's fucking cancelled. There was never anything behind here, it was all a lie. Okay, we're bringing it back. So it's been a hot minute since anyone has seen anything from the wall, and that's because I abandoned it immediately after making Devblog 7 to make Apotheosis. Or, if you call it what it really is, Halo, if Master Chief was Spider-Man. And it was definitely worth it, because so many people played it. Please play my game even if it is to tell me it's shit, I just need to justify the time I spent making it. Okay, thanks. Mediocre reception aside, Apotheosis was quite useful to me. I learned a lot of things while making what is essentially my first finished game, and the most important lesson I got from that was that the wall, in its current form, was never going to see the light of day. The reason being, I never actually made a build of it, and it's way too late to start now. While making Apotheosis, I created regular builds of the game. Over the course of its 4-month development, I attempted around 100 builds. Of those 100, maybe half of them actually succeeded, and of those, I only have 24 that actually launch, and about 10 of them will crash after running for a few minutes because I wasn't validating my actors, and a few more where the game simply doesn't work. Bullets will fly through enemies without hurting anyone, and grenades will just fall through the floor. The weird thing about all of this? It all worked perfectly fine in the editor. Built games behave differently from the editor version, and if you don't do things properly, the compiler will just fail. And all this was happening with relatively good, clean code. There were just a few tiny things that fucked it up. That made me look at The Wall, a game I started making when I had about a month of experience using UE4. It's a big, shitty bowl of spaghetti, full of complete nonsense code, awful design practices, and switch nodes. If code that looks like this can break a game, then what hope does this monstrosity have of even successfully building? So, after a lot of consideration, ever mindful of the sunk cost fallacy, I decided it would be far more work to clean the existing code up, rather than just to reboot and remake the entire thing. So, I introduce you to The Wall 2.0, Electric Boogaloo.
Let me show you its features.
We have documentation. That's right, I actually wrote down what I want the game to be this time. I don't usually like writing things down, but because I didn't last time, the game was just this nebulous idea in my mind with no concrete designs. I basically made it up as I went along, but now, with a game design document, I have a strict design philosophy that gives the wall an identity of its own. This means I won't play Halo and think, gee, I should make the wall like this. We're still kind of doing that, but shh, it's okay. We also have cleaner, better code. Instead of being made by a beginner programmer with a month's worth of experience, you know, me, The Wall 2.0 Electric Boogaloo will be made by a programmer with 2.5 years of practical experience who has the wizard powers of making clean, efficient blueprints. Also me, but, you know, now, not 2.5 years ago. We also have a clean file structure. There's not much to say here, but look at it. So organized. You might be thinking right about now, why does this guy keep saying we? Has he got multiple personalities or something? Well, perhaps, but they're not in right now. I'm referring to the last key feature of The Wall 2.0 Electric Boogaloo. We have a team! Turns out there were a few people in the Discord server interested in helping me out with The Wall. The Wall 1.0 had no source control, so there was no easy way to have multiple people working on the game. The best that could be done was the donation of models people had made, but that changed when Mega Coolman, he's very cool, provided us with a server that we could use to host a Git repository. So the Wall 2.0 is now open source, except you can't access the repository without permission, so it's more like restricted source. Right now we have Cobble and Mega Coolman volunteering to program smaller side tasks while I work on the actual gameplay and other more important elements of the game. And our boy Pixel Ultimate is still helping out with the creature models. So we're now open to having more people help out. But right now we mostly need artists, people who can make models and particle effects, things like that. We've got enough programmers for now. I must stress this isn't a paid thing. These guys are helping out with the game because they have a lot of free time right now and nothing to do, and they want to help make The Wall because they're interested in it. If you want to help out or just want to see progress updates on The Wall, you should join the Inverted Games Discord. We have updates on the wall before the dev blogs come out, a growing community, memes. Occasionally, Michael from Vsauce will pop in. So the Wall 2.0 has been in full-blown development for about 2 weeks now, and we've already made some pretty good progress. Pixel Ultimate has made a creature that will eventually be used as a mount in the game. He doesn't have a name yet, so we just call him Floofy Boy. His fur is work in progress, so it looks a bit shit, but that's something I gotta work on my end. Mega Coolman has been working on a way to procedurally animate a new Sentinel. This was also modelled by Pixel Ultimate. This guy will be an enemy in certain dungeon areas in the game. Every enemy in the game will have strengths and weaknesses that you'll need to consider while fighting them. An obvious weak point on this Sentinel is his legs. They look very choppable. Cobble has been working on a notebook system for the game. This is kind of like an in-game wiki. We're going to have loads of different enemies, locations and items in the game, and it can be a bit much to remember all of the important things about them. This system is designed so that when you discover something new in the game, a new entry will be written in this notebook. And then there's me. I've been learning the basics of making my own animations. Combat has been completely redesigned, and it will take place exclusively in first person. I did have a first person mode in the Wall 1.0, but it looked a bit shit. I came up with a much better method in Apotheosis that keeps the arms in the same place relative to the camera, you know, the way it's meant to be. But because Apotheosis was made with Paragon characters, I had to mangle their third person animations to look right in first person. This time, I'm making my own set of first person animations so I don't have to mangle their character model. As of yesterday, I have implemented most of the melee attacks and movement abilities you'll be able to do. Right now, you can sprint, crouch, and jump. Pretty standard shit here. Clicking the left mouse button will do a standard light attack. This has 3 animations. Every time you press the left mouse button, it will go to the next animation. Holding the left mouse button will do a heavy attack. This takes some stamina to do, so it isn't spammable. Holding shift and double tapping in any direction will do a dash. This can be used to avoid certain attacks at the cost of stamina. Holding shift and left mouse button will do a heavy stab. Again, this takes stamina. Doing a light attack shortly after a dash will do a light stab. Holding down the left mouse button while sprinting will do a sword charge. I implemented this yesterday, so it's still kind of work in progress, but the idea is for it to function similar to the bayonet charge in Battlefield 1. I've also implemented a basic damage function, so swinging my sword at things will damage them. By the next dev blog, we should have NPCs to kill with these attacks. The only thing that is currently missing is a slide mechanic. I animated and attempted to make this mechanic, but I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted. The idea was that if you slid down a hill, you would go all the way down that hill, but I couldn't get that physicsy sort of thing to work, so that has been put on the back burner for now, and I'll be moving on to other stuff. I have also scrapped the open world of the Wall 1.0. I just didn't like the shape of the terrain, and it only took up about a quarter of what I wanted the complete map to be, and I had no plan for how I would expand it. So I drew up a full map in Photoshop. I may or may not have ripped off some real world geography to do it, but hey, if that approach is good enough for GURM, then it's good enough for me. I put that map into World Machine, added some nodes, and boom, brand new shiny terrain. I'm also taking advantage of some of the features that the auto terrain material I use has, such as the ability to add erosion maps. This darkens areas of the terrain where erosion would take place. I don't know if that's a realistic part of terrains or not, but it certainly adds some much needed detail to the terrain. Oh, and the good ocean is back. So once melee and magic combat has been completed, I will be releasing regular test builds for everyone to play. This is because I need real, honest feedback on how the game plays in order to make it as good as it can be. I don't have a date on when this will happen, but as long as I keep up the pace I'm currently going at, I hope it won't be more than a couple months. I'm also going to attempt to do bi-weekly dev blogs from now on. I don't know how well that will go, but I'm saying it here as a promise to myself to do it. I'm sure subscribing would put pressure on me to stick to that promise. So I never know how to end these things, so I'm just going to put a clip here of something I made in Apotheosis to improve performance of the AI.